go.
The California Gold Rush by Megan Ginter, Bailey Smith, Sean Kelly, Nathan McDonald, and Matt Rose.
Hola, mi amigos. We are not studying any boring topic like science, math, or language. We are studying history. Woohoo! For this segment, we are talking about
The California Gold Rush.
before the California Gold Rush, California had over 150,000 Native Americans and 8,000 to 12,000 Californios. John Sutter, a Swiss immigrant dressed in second-hand French army clothes, visited the governor of Mexico. And being the charming man he was, he persuaded the governor to give him 50,000 acres of land. Holy cow, right? Anyways, he built a fort on his land, one day hoping he would own his own empire. In 1848, he hired James Marshall, the Australian carpenter, to build a sawmill. Marshall was inspecting the canal that brought water to the mill, and something caught his eye. By golly, it was gold. Yeehaw! For some odd reasons, people started rushing to California to get their own gold. I mean, seriously, who wants gold? Anyway, this would later be known as the California Gold Rush. People estimated there was enough gold to pay off the present war with Mexico and 100 times over. Many 49ers had only 3 ways of getting to California. Because they were coming from the eastern countries, one way was sail 18,000 miles around South America, up the Pacific coast, suffering from storms, seasickness, and spoiled food. I mean, rotten bread, that's disgusting. The second was sail to the narrow Isthmus of Panama, cross overland and risk catching a tropical disease, and then sail to California. Getting bit by a bug, that stinks. The third was travel the trails across North America, braving rivers, prairies, mountains, and all the hardships of the trails. Because most of the trails are not very hard, a gray beard was almost as rare as a petticoat. Or if you don't know what a petticoat is, gray beards were almost as rare as unicorns or flying hippos. One woman who opened a business during the rush said she only saw 2 or 3 other women while she was there, which is odd, because you cannot live without women. Anyways, along the river there started camps, which started as tents, then moved up to wooden houses, which turned into saloons or stores. Life at the camps were extremely rough. One woman who lived in the region wrote, "In the short space of 24 days, we had murders, a fearful accidents, bloody deaths, a mob, whippings, a hanging, and a fatal duel." Holy cow, right? I mean, it's almost as if they lived in a jail full of people. Mean people, that is. Anyways, mining life was hard, though. There were stories of people finding gold and becoming rich overnight, but that was rare. Most of the time, miners spent their whole day waist deep in ice-cold water just to get small amounts of gold. Basically, just enough to pay the rent, to look for more gold. Do you know how bad that would suck? A lot. Think of sitting in ice-cold ice all day, hurting your back because you're hunched, and getting chocolate or anything you like, but having to give it away, just so you can do it all over again tomorrow. Aren't you just a lucky duck?
There are many miners from around the world that came to California to find gold. 2/3 were from America, but other people came too from like Mexico, Europe, South America, Australia, and China. There are also Native Americans, free blacks, and enslaved blacks that came. Most of the Chinese miners came for a better life than what they had in China because of crop failures. That's too bad, but then in 1851, 1 of every 10 immigrants were Chinese. The conflict between the American miners and Chinese grew because of their different foods, clothing, and lifestyles. There are also crimes committed during the gold rush. For example, I.B. Gilman told one of the slaves named Tom that if he could find enough gold, he would set him free. After a year of mining, Tom made $1,000 in gold. The day after Gilman gave Tom the paper saying he was free, it disappeared. Tom said that was stolen, but he could never prove it. Then Tom had to work for another year before he was set free. Tough luck. Then when all the gold was getting harder and harder to find, American miners started to kick all the foreign miners out of California, so their chances of getting rich got better. The after effects of the gold rush were amazing for California. The economy skyrocketed, and the city of San Francisco became a center of banking, manufacturing, shipping, and trade. The population after the gold rush was booming. It went from 700 people in 1845 to 35,000 in 1850. That's a lot of people, but as always, the Native Americans were dropping like flies from illnesses from newcomers. They went from 150,000 to only 58,000. But the biggest effect of the gold rush was in 1850, California became a state. Way to go, California. The gold rush was definitely the best thing that happened to California at the time, and one of the most important. Thank you for watching. The end. Our sources were the textbook,